No, that was fine.
Good evening, everyone. Come on in and have a seat. There's
Thank you
plenty of spots
all.
up towards the front.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Right during dinner time, we appreciate you, hence why we wanted to feed you with snacks.
All right, welcome. My name is Colleen Murray, and my colleague Christy Morris and I would like to welcome you to the Junior Family College Planning Night. If you are thinking at all like we are, you can't believe that it's already mid to late November. But we are excited to kick the process off with you this evening. And before we start, let us pause for a moment for prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Good and gracious God, we thank you for the gift of these amazing juniors and their families. We are grateful for the opportunity to be together this evening as we begin to consider the next steps on the educational journey of each young woman in this class. Help them to realize that you are always with them every step of the way on whatever path they choose to follow and whichever direction they decide to go. If we remember the words of Madeline Sophie Berra, to be humble, be simple, and bring joy to others, then everything begins to fall into place. Help all of us to keep the right perspective and the right mindset as we approach this process, and help us also to remember that your example, even more than your words, will be an eloquent lesson to the world. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So, we are so excited to be working with you, and we would just want to give you a little bit of information just about our backgrounds. Like Mrs. Murray said, I'm Christy Morris. This is my 5th year at Villa Duchesne. I've worked previously as an academic advisor here and then transitioned to college counseling. The majority of my background has been in higher education. I was a career counselor for years. I did graduate academic advising for many years. And then I also did some specialized admission to a counseling program for a couple of years as well. But I love the high school side of it. Like, I love when the girls come in and chat with me. I think this is so fun. So I'm so excited to be kicking off with you guys.
So again, I'm Colleen Murray, and I actually did my first junior family meeting in December. We used to do these in December of 2005, before I even had children of my own. So I've been doing this for about 20 years with a 5-year break when my family moved to Dallas. But before being a high school college counselor, I had the good fortune to work at Washington University in St. Louis. So got to see the selective side of college admissions up close and personally, and sit on committees and see what it's like to look at really strong applications and to read lots of essays and to read lots of recommendations. And that's experience that I lean on today quite a bit. So that's something, a lot of people who work in college admissions make that transition to the high school side. And like Mrs. Morris, I love working with high school students. It really is a joy. So between the two of us, we are here to share our experience with you and share our thoughts on this whole college search and application process. And we will start with our whole mission here.
Yeah, and I promise this will be the only thing we read to you tonight, but there was a lot of thought that went into our mission, and so I don't want to paraphrase it and get it wrong. So our counseling philosophy stems from the goals and criteria of the Sacred Heart Network, rooted in the belief that each student is an individual possessing her own talents, needs, and abilities. Through the college search process, students are encouraged to self-reflect, assess their strengths and interests, and identify characteristics of institutions that will facilitate continued growth. Students are expected to play the leading role in the process, while parents and counselors work closely together to support them along the way. Our goal is to provide each student with the tools necessary to make informed decisions at each stage of the process. So before we really get into the presentation, a couple housekeeping notes. Hopefully you guys grabbed your folder as you walked in. If not, you can grab it on the way out. But the folder contains your junior or your transcript, which has your freshman, sophomore, and junior courses. It also has a handout for parents with a little bit of information on how to access CALFO. We'll go into that a little bit more in the presentation, but CALFO is our college search database and application management database that Mrs. Marie and I use to send transcripts, letters of recommendation. So tomorrow I'm going to push out something that will give parents access to CALFO. Juniors, you should already have access. If you don't, I can actually see it in CALFO and I'll push it out again for you. So just watch for an email. The folder also has information about ACT dates and registration deadlines, SAT dates and registration deadlines. And then it has a flyer about an upcoming webinar that we're hosting in January about the whole financial piece to saving and paying for college. And anything else I'm missing?
I think that's all the pieces.
Okay. Some students, you might have mail in your folder. Occasionally, for whatever reason, colleges send mail to you, to us. And if you haven't come by our offices to grab it, we just put it in there. Okay.
Some of you also have your practice ACT booklets in there for, they were just left behind. So we wanted to give you your practice ACT booklets from October.
Yeah. We also will be sending a follow-up email to you guys in the next couple days, we hope, with the recording of this video, PowerPoint slides. It will also have a very extensive guidebook with everything we're talking about and just more information than you will ever want to know. But it's a very helpful material. Okay. So we are going to be working so closely together for the next 18 months. So we want to start by kind of talking about our different roles, what you can expect from us, helpful tips for parent roles, and then most importantly, the student role. Juniors, this is a good amount of work for you, and we are there to help you and to make this less stressful, but the onus is on you, really. So the most important thing you can do right now in this year is to have a really good academic performance your junior year. Do whatever you can to finish this semester strong and have a fantastic next semester. It's hard to believe, but by the time you apply to colleges, it's going to be your junior GPA that colleges are going to see, because a lot of times you're applying by a November 1 deadline, and the next time your GPA changes is not until January of your senior year. So if you've been rocking it since day one, continue rocking it. Like junior year is so important because it tends to be one of the more difficult years. You are probably in some more challenging classes than you have been in previously. So if you can maintain a good academic standing, that's really great. Now, maybe you're someone like I was in high school and you had a rough freshman year, or maybe sophomore year was shaky. Whatever you can to make junior year your best year shows progress and maturity, and that is really impressive to college admissions too. So that is what I really recommend that you do whatever you can to have a really good academic, strong performance this year. Another aspect that is really important and driven by you is who you are outside of the classroom. So colleges really want to see somebody that is going to contribute to their campus community. So what that means is different to each student. So we want you to be involved in something that is uniquely you. So quality over quantity. So maybe you're somebody that has held a part-time job and that's what you do spending your summers and after school. Great, keep doing that. Maybe service is your passion. You do a lot of work with the refugee population. Great, keep doing that. Maybe you are like really into sports. Fantastic. It's just important to be involved in something outside of the classroom, okay? Another part of this process that I know, because I have a senior son that's going through it right now. So I've been in your shoes, and I'm telling you, it is okay. Mrs. Murray has survived this as well with children. It does require a good amount of self-reflection on your part. So we really need you to spend some time thinking about what you want out of the next 4 years of school. So maybe some of your favorite pieces of your Villa experience have been the close relationships you have with like faculty and staff. Well, if that's the case, then maybe a smaller school is going to be a really important piece for you. Maybe you are, nervous about being far away from home. And so you're going to want to think about, okay, do you want to be at a school that's going to require a very extensive flight with multiple layovers? It's important for you to start reflecting on what you want, what are your strengths, and what type of student you are, so that we can really find a good match as far as colleges. We also want you to be open to possibilities, open to suggestions. So your parents might have an idea of some schools they want you to look at. Mrs. Murray and I are going to have an idea of some schools that we want you to look at as well. And we just want you to be open to researching them, thinking of them. We find that a lot of times students are hearing other schools that other students are going to, or maybe schools are hearing about online, and there are so many hidden gems out there that could be great fits. So just be open to our suggestions and your parents' suggestions. Another really important aspect of this process is are you staying organized? It's a lot of dates. It's going to be a lot of emails. You are going to have to write essays. So making sure you're carving out time and, doing the assignments that we're giving you is important. And then also really good communication. So we will be meeting with all of you in second semester. And before we do that, we send out a questionnaire to all the juniors and the parents. And juniors, if you can fill out that questionnaire to the best of your ability, it really helps us get to know you even more, to tailor a more individualized list for you. We're going to ask you about, things you're concerned about. What would be a perfect college for you? So do the best you can filling that out. And then maintaining good communication with Mrs. Murray and myself and your parents is really important. So let's say we meet you in February and you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm not so sure about my major, which is fine. I'm actually totally fine with an undecided major. But you have a really cool experience. Maybe you do a job shadow and then suddenly you're like, nope, I want nursing. Well, your senior schedule, like my suggestions I'm going to make to you as a potentially undecided major, is going to be really different than a pre-nursing major. So keeping us updated so that we can adjust the plan would be really helpful.
So the key to helping us help you is that communication. And one of the things that Mrs. Morris talked about was staying organized. Juniors, how many of you are already getting emails, snail mails, and emails from colleges? Do you get stuff in your inbox? Do you get stuff in your mailbox at home? Okay, it's a lot. We realize that. But it's also good to at least take a little look at all that before you throw it out. Because as Mrs. Morris said, there are a lot of colleges out there. There's close to between 2,500 and 3,000 four-year universities out there. And there's probably many that you haven't heard of. And one of our jobs as the counselor is to suggest a balanced list to you. And that list may include some that you're not as familiar with. We're certainly going to put some on there that you have suggested. We're going to put some on there that you're very familiar with. But we're just asking that you keep an open mind about the process. And part of our job, too, is to learn about these colleges that are out there. And when the representatives come to Villa, we sit and meet with every single one of them. Mrs. Morris just returned from what they call a counselor visit to a university in South Carolina, where universities bring counselors from around the country and actually around the world to campuses to immerse themselves in it so that they can talk about it with their students. And that's part of what we do as well. So if Mrs. Morris was at Furman University in South Carolina, which you may or may not have heard of, but she immediately started thinking of some students that this would be a great potential fit for. So that's the kind of information that we are going to share with you. But parents, in this whole process, we want you to support your daughter. We want you to be her biggest cheerleader. So when she gets a piece of mail or when she comes home from school and mentions a school that she's looking at, look at it with her and find out the details of it. See what it's all about. We just want you to be open to all kinds of possibilities and to really support her in this process wherever she is. And part of that is helping with the college visits. One of the few good things that came from COVID in the college process was the virtual tour. Pretty much all colleges have a virtual tour on their website. You log in, you go to the school website, you go to the visit tab, and you can scroll down and find a virtual tour and see what it looks like. If the college looks interesting after you take the virtual tour and after you do a little research, and then you can schedule a visit, that's great. Really, going to visit the college campus is the only way to try on a college, so to speak. And you will get to the point, ladies, where you are on a campus for a half an hour and you can tell if that's a good fit or not. How many of you have been to some college campuses to visit? Maybe with a sibling? Have any of you been with some siblings or been for your own? Okay. The campus visit is really a fun part of the process, and obviously parents, your daughters need your help with making those arrangements. You can always make arrangements online, and we are more than happy to help you with those arrangements. Even if you're doing some traveling for Thanksgiving next week and you're going to be by, let's say you're going to Indianapolis, you could stop by IU. If you're going to Chicago, there's multiple schools in Chicago. If you're going to head west towards Omaha, some great schools that way. Head to Kansas City. If you can just start to get on some college campuses right now to begin to get a sense of what you like and what you don't like in a campus, that can be a really helpful part of the process. It's November of junior year, but it is going to be September of senior year in the blink of an eye. And the more prep work that you can do right now while you have the luxury of some time, the better off you're going to be. We assure you that you are not at all behind in any way, shape, or form. Again, it is only November 19th of junior year, so you have time, but we want you to ease into this process.
I would like to add that you want to also not judge a campus by the tour guide. It is really easy to do because sometimes you're just not vibing with the tour guide, or the tour guide maybe isn't going to be involved in everything you're interested in. They're just student workers. So really try hard to note that when you're not liking the tour guide. Also, weather can affect how you perceive a campus, so keep that in mind as well. And then we're really lucky because in the St. Louis area, we have a lot of different college campuses that you can try out to get a feel that are really different. So if you think of SLU, that would be considered a more urban campus. Then you've got WashU, very different from SLU, kind of close to the city, but also, that mid-sized school. You've got Lindenwood, which is more suburban. So because that's the thing when you're looking at colleges too, sometimes a location can matter, a type of location can matter. So if you can't quite get out of town to see a school yet, maybe start off by checking out the St. Louis campuses to see what you're feeling. I will also say, just because I've really struggled with this with my child that's an athlete, these college visits fill up kind of quickly. So especially around the long weekends. So being able to get on their calendar if you feel like you're going to be going during a long weekend, I'd recommend doing that sooner rather than later.
So even if you have no interest in staying in St. Louis, as Mrs. Moore said, there's so many different options of different types of schools here. If you just want to go get your first campus visit under your belt, we're happy to help you arrange that, whether you go to Lindenwood or WashU or SLU or Maryville. Lots of good options to just kind of try out a college campus visit. We talked about the parent questionnaire. You will get that tomorrow in the same email that the C Alpha information comes. We are going to send the student and the parent questionnaire. And as soon as we have both of those questionnaires, we will start to schedule meetings. And we meet individually with each of you starting in the beginning of the semester. But we want you to take some time and put some thought into these questionnaires. They don't take a super long time, but the more thought and insight that you share with us, the more productive the family meeting is. So we ask that you take a little bit of time with those. And then again, the communication piece. Students, we don't want you to feel like your parents are asking you about college and every car ride and every meal. And parents, your students don't want to talk about it all the time. There's a time and a place, and now is the time. I'm sure you've all been talking about it, but you want to establish boundaries. And if it keeps coming up too much, and you just want to set aside, Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock to talk, fine. Just as long as you are all in communications with each other. And parents, if you have some kind of limitation that you are putting on the whole college search process, for instance, if it has to be within a 6-hour drive, or it has to be a religiously affiliated college, or it has to be a college under 15,000 students, whatever it is, now is the time to share that with your daughter. Do it up front so that you're not wasting anyone's time and that she's aware of what restrictions you have, and you can all work together. And then we can work with you as well when we are helping devise that balanced list. So for the counselors, our job for you is to get to know you, the students, in the hallways, at your performances, at your games, when we have you in college counseling class. College counseling class for you juniors will start in January, and you will meet, we'll get into this a little bit more in a few minutes, but basically you meet once a week for that. So we will really get to know you in that. So we are getting to know you so that we can help you develop a balanced list of schools. Some schools that you're pretty likely to be admitted to, some schools that are going to be a bit more of a reach for you, and then if you want to apply to some super selective schools, we will help you with that process too. As we get to know you, that's how we can advocate for you. Part of what we do is establish as much of a rapport as possible with the admissions offices at these schools. That's why we meet with all 65 of the college reps when they come here in the fall. We meet with every single one of them so we can get the details, get the new information about that school. We are going out on counselor visits. We are checking out these campuses on your behalf. So we are establishing relationships, and we have no problem at all calling and emailing admissions offices to ask questions, to go to bat for you, to make sure that your application is complete, to find out information for you. So that's another big part of what we do. But we just ask that you trust us in the process too. So you communicate with us what information you want us to know, and we will do the same. And then Mrs. Morris talked a lot about the reflection. What really do you want in a college, students? Do you want to be in a big football school where that's what you do on Saturdays? Is that a big part of it? Do you want to go to a school specifically to study chemical engineering? Do you want to go to a school that has a nationally known finance program in its business school? What is it that you are seeking? And you might not have a whole lot of criteria right now, but now is the time to start to be thinking about that. And then in the bottom part here of this whole slide for the submission pieces, we're just kind of outlining what you, the students, submit. You submit your application, and we'll talk more about standardized testing in a few minutes. And then parents, if you are applying for need-based financial aid, there are some forms that need to be filled out. And on our end, students, once you apply, we send your transcript, and then the profile and the report, that's information about VILA, so that colleges are looking at you in the context of what VILA, of the courses that we have here, of the service learning program we have here, of what the Sacred Heart Network is. So we explain VILA to the colleges on your behalf, and then we send your teacher and your counselor recommendations. So that all comes next year, but just so you know, those are the forms that are being sent. Who sends what?
So part of how we scaffold this process for the juniors is that what Mrs. Murray said, we have a college counseling class. So we are going to be meeting with juniors once a week starting in January. So, we'll get into standardized testing in a bit, but part of our college counseling class will involve some standardized testing prep for the ACT with Dr. Brett Kleitz from the Kleitz Education Group. He is going to spend about 6 different sessions in our class where he will go over overall standardized test strategy. And then you all took the practice ACT in October. And so we have an analysis of the scores, not anyone's, I mean, we have your specific scores, but we didn't pass along those, but an analysis of some overall areas that we could do better in. And so he has that information and he's going to do some prep catered to that as well. So in addition to the test prep piece, we have specific things we want to do with you to get you ready. So part of it is going to be an introduction to CALPHO. Like I said, that is the college database search tool that we use because we want to teach you how to do some college research. We are also going to administer some personality and interest inventories to get you thinking about potential majors you might be interested in, and teach you how to do a little bit of research on that, and jobs you can get with majors. We are going to have you develop a resume. We find that the resume is a really helpful piece in filling out applications, and many honors colleges will require it, and some just regular applications require a resume, so we're gonna do that as well. We are going to help you develop a common application and profile and start filling it out. So for those that aren't familiar with the Common App, it's an online platform that allows you to apply to up to 20 different colleges with just one application. So thousands of schools use it. It's just a way not to duplicate all the information again and again. So if you plan on applying to more than one school, the Common App is the way to go. So we'll start that. And then we will also start brainstorming different topics for your personal statement or the college application. It's the same thing. So we hope we'll take you through some brainstorming activities. We also hope to give you some time to write in class or come up with an outline or a rough draft. So we really need your buy-in for this because the harder you work, the more you're going to get done. But we certainly have a lot of curriculum plan to make you really comfortable and really get you ready next quarter.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is walk you through, in very general terms, the next 18 months. Between now and your graduation date isn't actually on the calendar, but if I'm looking at it correctly, it should be May 16th of 2027. So that is generally it's the third Sunday in May. So between now and then, there's a lot to do. And again, it is very early, but we want you to know in very general terms what's going on and what to expect. So as Mrs. Morris said, college counseling class begins in January. So we will start that at about the second week of school. And part of that is the test prep, and then part of that are the pieces that Mrs. Morris just outlined with starting with the career inventory and with starting your Common App and with doing some research. So that's gonna start right off the bat in January. Once you have the questionnaires completed, we will get a family meeting on the calendar. And generally, the family meetings take a class period, and we will schedule that juniors will schedule that during one of your free periods. So as soon as we get those questionnaires, we will reach out to you and offer you a couple of dates and see what we can get on the calendar during one of your free periods and have our individual meeting and get going from there. We are going to offer, there's an optional ACT practice test that Revolution Prep, that's the company who did the practice exam you took in October. They're also offering you an online practice exam on this Saturday, January 31st. So it's in home, and it's basically you're going to be doing it on your honor. But they'll hit the start, they'll tell you when to stop, and you can sit in your bedroom and do a practice test before you take an actual ACT. College-bound athletes, if you are planning to apply to a Division I or II school and play your sport there, we ask that you register with the NCAA Eligibility Center. It's a super easy process. It costs $110. It takes about 5 minutes, and then we will send your initial transcript, and then we will also send your final transcript when you graduate. So that's what we do for you there. But that's something that students have to do on their own. We will consider, when talking about visits, we have a couple long weekends, one in January, one in February. Most all colleges are closed on that MLK holiday. So we don't suggest you visit a school when it's closed. You just don't get a good sense of the campus community when the students are not there and in class. If that's the only time to visit, like that, or during the summer, okay. But when it's quiet and students aren't there, campuses just aren't as lively. And we don't want you to write off a college campus because it was really boring the day you visited, but that's just because the students weren't there. So you can visit on these long weekends, but ideally you drive or fly up on Friday and can visit on Saturday when you get a really good vibe, and then come back and still have a bit of a long weekend. And then we want you to begin planning for a productive summer. The summer between junior and senior year is particularly important, and colleges are taking a special note of that. They want to know that you made wise use of your time. You certainly need to rest and relax. If what you're doing involves, a part-time or even a full-time job, that's great. Continue on with that. But if you can do some academic exploration, does your family have a friend who's in the field of business that you could go do some shadowing? Do you have a really good dentist that you like that you could go shadow? Do you have a really good vet for your dog and you're thinking about going to vet school? Could you go and shadow the vet? What if you're getting an addition on your house and you know the architect really well? Could you shadow the architect or the interior designer who's helping with the design of your house? Just getting some experience with some people this coming summer would be really, really helpful. If you want to do some more structured exploration, pretty much every college out there has pre-college summer programs. Some of them are pretty pricey. You do not need to pay a lot of money to get some really good experience. But if you want to look for a college campus program, we are happy to help you find that. There are hundreds of them out there. But it's also worth noting that just because you participate in a pre-college program on a campus, that does not give you any kind of leg up in admissions to that campus. That's pretty much a standard statement. So don't think you should do a summer program at a particular institution to help you with admission later, because that's not going to really help. But getting some kind of professional experience can really help in that summer. Doing your senior service work, doing some volunteering, whatever it is that you love to do. Colleges want you to do it. And as Mrs. Morris said, you don't need a resume as long as your arm to be attractive to a college. You just need to show your interests, show your passions, show that you're doing something outside of school besides studying. Of course you need to be studying, but colleges want you to have some balance and to be doing other things that you love to do, especially in that summer between junior and senior year.
A job shadow also is a great way, in addition to it being meaningful and something that you can add on applications, it's a really good way to confirm or help you weed out a potential major or career. I mean, I've worked with students before that thought they wanted to do nursing, shadowed, had a terrible experience, realized they hate blood and like, totally changed major and love the major they're in now. So it's just really helpful for you too.
It's helpful to figure out just as much what you don't like. Better to figure it out now than once you get into a program on a college campus, right? Even if you apply to a particular program at a college campus, you can always change. But if you can do that initial exploration now and weed out some things, that can be really helpful. So later in March and April of this year, if you have spring break plans, That we certainly understand that, but if you can, that's an ideal time to be visiting some college campuses. You want to make sure that the college campus itself doesn't have spring break. So if you can visit on, let's say that you want to go visit Indiana University and they happen to have the same spring break we do, if you could visit them over Easter break, that would be helpful. Just be sure and check ahead. All that information is online now. You can go to the visit calendar and see what's going to be available when their academic calendar is. So if you can try and make plans for spring break or Easter break, when you are not missing school, the deeper we get into the year, the harder it is to miss school. But sometimes you have to for a college campus visit. That's certainly an excused absence. But if you can avoid that and get a good sense of some college campuses without missing school, so much the better. And then in the month of May, you should be fine-tuning your list by that point in time. You will have had your meeting with us. You will come in and chat with us when you have questions. You can send us an email. But you should be starting to narrow down your list. There is not a magic number of applications that are of schools that you should apply to. This year's senior class, we have 46 seniors, and they, to date, have submitted about 320 applications. So that's an average of about 7 apiece. Average. Some students have only applied to a couple. Some have applied to a double-digit number of schools. And everywhere in between. But just know that there is not a specific number that to be aiming for. You just want to have a balanced list that has a school where you're for sure going to be admitted and would be okay going, and then some schools that are perhaps a little bit more selective that you're reaching for. So fine-tuning that list in May, requesting your letter of recommendation. We want everyone in here to ask at least one teacher for a letter of recommendation. And that teacher is ideally from your junior year, and ideally someone who has taught you in one of the 5 core academic areas: English, science, social studies, world language, or math. It doesn't have to be one of those, but those are generally what the guidelines we are suggesting that you ask. And we don't want you to go and ask them until May, and we will talk more with you about this in the individual meeting and as the semester goes on. There are very few schools out there that actually require 2 teacher letters of recommendation. There are some that come, like Vanderbilt, Boston College, and Middlebury, for instance. They require 2 teacher letters of recommendation. But in general, you should be just fine getting 1 teacher letter, and then you will also have a letter from us as your counselor. So we write, your teacher writes from how he or she knows you in the classroom. We write how we know you as a student, as an individual, as how we've gotten to know you with your activities. We have a more holistic perspective, if you will. So that's part of the reason we want to get to know you, and that we want you to come by our offices, and we want you to respond to our emails. That's what we do, is as we advocate for you, we need to know who you are. And we're also writing a letter for you. So please know that we will do that on your behalf. It's something we spend a lot of time doing, and it's a lovely part of our job. As we get to know students, we see a different side of you. So we try and put that on paper. And then also, before you go home for the summer, we want you to have a really good draft of your college essay. You are going to be working on that in college counseling class. We're going to spend some time on that. Have any of you heard of the college essay guy? He does a lot of videos. He has a pretty strong online presence. We had the pleasure of meeting him at a conference that we attended earlier this fall, but he has been working with students on college essays for 20-something years and has all kinds of brainstorming activities on insight onto how best to answer questions, how best not to answer questions. And we use him a lot for springboards, for ideas. So just know, if you're looking for some ideas, College Essay Guy, if you Google him, has all kinds of information. But the college essay, we want you to have a draft that you're proud of and that you can really work on. And the essay itself is really the most time-consuming piece of the whole Common Application. So if you can get that hammered out in class and then a little bit outside of class and over the summer, that's just going to be so helpful to you once fall of senior year comes around. In August, we will have a college application workshop where we bring in college admissions officers from around the country to review your essay with you. And they will give you immediate feedback. And generally, most of the seniors come to it. We have it the first week when sports tryouts are going on. We offer it twice, so every athlete should be able to attend around her sports schedule. But this is just a good way to hear from the people who are actually reading your applications, what they think of it. And they give you very constructive feedback so that you can really polish up that essay and get it ready to insert into your Common App. If you can get that done by the time school starts, in August, you are going to be in good shape. That and the activities list are the two things we're going to be working on in class, and we want you to be finished working on in the summertime. All right, so then once it gets to be the summertime, thank you, we want you to continue visiting colleges, but just keeping in mind that no college puts its best foot forward in the summer. Okay, that's when they're doing construction, that's when people take vacations, that's when kids are away. If it's the only time you can visit, that's fine. But if you can avoid visiting a lot of colleges in the summer, that's really helpful. We want you to spend time on the activities that you really enjoy, as we talked about, making wise use of that summer. And then also be aware, there are some colleges that have applications that go live in the month of July. So if you are really wanting to apply to the University of Arkansas, please know that when that goes live on July 15th, you can still wait until the Common App goes live on August 1st to do it. You do not need to spend the time and do that other application in the middle of July. We are not able to send your transcript at that point in time. We want your transcript to be fine. We like to wait until much later, at least until you've been in school for a couple of weeks, until we know your schedule is accurate. Because if you change your schedule at all, and we've already sent a transcript, then we have to contact you, the student, and us, the counselor, we have to contact every college that received it and let them know about the change in the schedule. So we like to wait to send those transcripts really until first part of September, when we know you're not going to change your schedule. But just know that some college applications will go live in July. You can wait until August when you're going to do the Common App. You will have already started it in college counseling class, but just don't feel pressured to do applications in the month of July. It's summer for you, it's summer for us. We want you to be doing other things in the summer, thinking about college and preparing for it, but don't feel like you have to be answering or completing applications.
And Arkansas is going to tell you to do it, and we promise it's okay.
We promise. Even
We
if you do
promise.
apply in July, you're still not going to hear until October 15th, when everybody else who applied in August and September heard. So there is no advantage. We're telling you that.
Okay. Come September, you're back in school. Brace yourself. You're going to be busy, but it's going to be fine. We are going to have college counseling class once again. So this is going to be a little different than our junior level class, because the senior class, we still are meeting once a week, but it's more self-paced. It's really, you're going to all be at different parts of your application. It's really structured time for you to sit in a room where we are both with you, where we could immediately answer questions. Really just structured time for you to work on college applications. So you're going to be doing that. September and October are when we host a lot of admission counselors from various colleges on campus. So if you are still fine-tuning your list, this is a fabulous opportunity to learn more. If you are applying to a school that is coming to visit, we want you to come and meet with this admissions counselor. Many times, these are the people that are reading your applications. So it is very helpful for them to put a face to a name, for you to get to know them. Also, some schools, not all, but some schools track demonstrated interest. So what that means is they want to see if you're engaging with them, and that's something they're going to note when they're reviewing your application. So some schools that come, they'll have you fill out a little card like old school, and they're going to note who came to talk to them. And then again, more importantly, it's an opportunity for you to ask questions and to help you reflect. So that is a lot of time. We spend a lot of time with our admission officers.
Can I just throw in there with the demonstrated interest? This sounds really creepy, but colleges also know if you've read their email or not. Mm-hmm. So if there's a school that is high on your list and they send you an email, be sure you open it. And don't just open it and then delete it. Open it and take a few minutes to read it. So just know that colleges are keeping track of that.
Yeah. Fairfield is one of those schools where you can be academically super strong, great test scores, but if you're not engaging and showing interest, it could affect your decision. So, we also want you to check in with your teachers that you asked to write letters of recommendation in May. So many teachers are going to want you to fill out a questionnaire to help them write a letter for you. So you want to have that done. You want to, if you have a deadline coming up, you're going to want to let the teacher know. Letters of recommendations take hours. So they need plenty of notice. And if they're asking you questions, you need to answer them.
So the communication piece with your teachers as well. Just let them know. Plus, they're interested. They want to know where you're applying. So as you're applying, let the teachers know too.
Yeah. We want your essay to be done, like Mrs. Murray said. We hope that's done before September. That'll alleviate some stress for you. And this is when you're going to really have a narrowed down list. As you get into September and October, there are some let me back up a little bit. There are many different rounds to which you can apply to college. There is the rolling admission round. So what that means is, like, for example, Mizzou's application, they open up on August 1st. You can apply, and with rolling admission, as you submit your applications, they're reviewing your applications as they come in, and then they're rolling out a decision. So that could be like a couple weeks later. Ole Miss is like that, University of Kentucky, some smaller schools like Bellarmine, Benedictine, that's rolling admission. There's also early action, where we want the majority of you guys to be applying early action. Early action is not binding. It just means you're done with your applications and you're ready to press submit earlier than many other people. Some decisions can be a little bit better in early action round. The most common early action deadline is November 1st, but there are some southern schools that are getting earlier and earlier. For example, Auburn University, they have, I think, 4 rounds of early action. The first one is September 15th. It's really early. The second one is October 15th, and I think November 15th, and then December 15th. University of Georgia's a September 15th. Clemson University is a September 15th.
Or October.
Yeah, sorry,
So
October 15th.
I think Auburn is the only September
Yeah,
one. which
Georgia
is-
and
Georgia,
Clemson.
Clemson, University of South Carolina have this October 15th deadline, which just comes up really fast.
It does. So that's early action. There's also early decision. So this is different from early action in that this is a binding decision. So if you apply early decision, which have the same deadlines as early action, really, for the most part, but if you apply early decision and the school accepts you, you are saying you're going to go there. So that is something that if you're thinking that you want to do that, you need to be talking, like your parents, and we all need to talk to get on the same page about that. You can only apply early decision to one school at a time. There is an early decision 2 round if you get denied from early decision 1, but I'm getting into a lot of details here. There's also regular decision, which is typically like the later deadlines, January, some even later. But for the most part, we want you to be done and applied to the majority of your colleges in November. Now, there are still seniors applying, and that's okay. But I think we had almost every single person pretty much apply to at least one, and more often than not, more than one by November 1. So that's what you're going to be doing September, October, up until November 1st. Parents, the FAFSA and the CSS profile open up typically by October 1st. I think it opened up earlier this year, which was a fun surprise. And it is better than it used to be. A lot faster, more concise. So those are forms that you fill out if you're going to be seeking financial aid. So all schools are requiring the FAFSA. If you want financial aid, some schools, typically more private schools, also want the CSS profile, which takes a deeper dive into the finances. So that typically opens up, like I said, October 1st, maybe a little bit earlier. So you'll be doing that. We're working with seniors a lot right now on scholarship and honors college applications. So that's a big part of October and November too, after they press them in December. December 1 is a big deadline for scholarships and honors colleges. What's tricky is you don't have your decision sometimes before you're applying to these. But the earlier you apply, the better chances you have for some of the bigger scholarships. Honors colleges a lot of times require different essays. The different scholarships are going to require different essays, but not nearly as long as your personal statement. But that's what you can be expected to be doing September, October, November, and December. You're busy, but we've got time built in to do this, and we're here to support you.
So ideally, you have all your applications for admission completed by this time next year. And then you've probably seen a bit of a collective sigh of relief among the seniors, maybe a little bit. But now the priority is your application for admission. And then it's looking at the honors colleges. And then it's looking at scholarships and those other pieces. But first thing to do is to get all your pieces in for admission. And then all those other pieces will fall into place.
So another really important part of this process is keeping your grades up. So you could be in a situation where your decision is deferred, meaning the college wants to see your 7th semester grades. So maintaining that good academic performance for your fall semester of senior years, that will help because we are going to be sending mid-year transcripts to all the schools you apply to. There are some schools that, won't even make a decision, even if you applied early decision, like IU. I think their decisions come out mid to late January, or the deferral. But no matter what, all decisions are contingent upon graduation in good academic performance. So you can't get senioritis. You have to finish strong. Having a big shift in grades that are different from how you've done freshman, sophomore, junior year, that can affect your ability to go to that college even if they admit you.
So colleges will always say in their letter of admission that it's a conditional admit pending successful completion of your high school career. You've got to graduate and you've got to maintain at least relatively strong grades. Now, if you go from an A down to a B in some class, that's okay.
Yeah.
But in general, they're looking for maintenance of the same kind of grades that you were admitted with.
Exactly. Good communication. When you receive decisions you're excited about, the yeses, we want to celebrate with you. If you receive a decision you're not excited about, we want to brainstorm with you, help you pivot. So keep us updated. Then April is a great, March and April really, all those are great times to attend admitted student days, which is really fun because at this point you've been accepted and now the colleges are trying to woo you. They want you to say yes. And so it's all programming specific to getting you to come on campus, say that you're going there. And so these are really fun opportunities for students. And then May 1 is the deadline to make your decision and deposit, and only deposit at one place.
And if you are admitted, let's say you're admitted to Arkansas in early September, they will hold your seat until May 1st. As long as it's not an early decision application, any place where you're admitted will hold your spot in the class until May 1. So you literally have until May 1 to decide. You have plenty of time. You don't have to push it till that long, but that's how long you really have.
Let's talk everybody's favorite subject, standardized testing, because it's so fun. So, okay, juniors, you've taken a practice SAT and a practice ACT. So you have experience with both. We tend to focus more on preparing you for the ACT. It just, our students tend to be stronger in the ACT. and tend to like the ACT better. But we, as we're meeting with you individually, Mrs. Murray and I look at both your practice ACT and practice SAT, and we do an analysis to see if we think you might be stronger in one over the other. So we don't care what you want to focus on. If you want to focus on SAT, great. If you want to focus on ACT, great. We will be holding an in-school real ACT on March 12th. So you don't need to pay for it. You don't need to register it for it. We take care of everything. The only thing you'll need to do is if you are somebody that already has accommodations and plans to use those for the ACT, you need to be working with Dr. Gunn to get those. So how colleges are approaching standardized testing. So there are many schools that are still test optional and went test optional before COVID and will remain test optional. We have students that have applied test optional the last couple years, received amazing decisions, and have scholarships without using tests. Great. There are some schools that are going back to requiring standardized tests. The military academies, let's see, University of Georgia, Auburn University is going.
Some of the Ivies, the Florida system, the Tennessee system. So if you apply to one of those schools, you have to submit scores. But still, the majority of schools are remaining test optional.
There are some schools that are test free. So even if you had a test score that you loved and you sent it, they're not going to look at it. And there are some schools that are do no harm testing. So like TCU, Texas Christian University, for example. Right now, they are only you submit your test score, and they're only going to use it if it helps you. So you can see there's a lot of ambiguity about how colleges are doing it different, and it's also changing. Like, I mean, I don't know if Mizzou will stay test optional. They haven't made a complete decision about it. So I think our approach is, we're gonna work with you in college counseling class and with the ACT, and we want you to take the ACT or SAT, and we want you to try to get a test score that you feel good about. And if you try and it doesn't work out, then we're gonna work with you on test optional. So don't stress out about it. But we do find that having a good test score can be helpful. So taking it more than once, we actually recommend. So ACT and SAT does super score. So what that means is they're going to take the highest section score among different tests to make a new composite score, which can be really helpful. So we have the different testing dates up on the screen for ACT and SAT, and oh, sure. Because it's a district test that we're holding at Villa, and yes, it is a test that they can submit to colleges. It is the real deal, guys. So our thoughts is that you are going to have home field advantage. You don't need to come with your ID where we're checking your picture against your ID. You know where the room numbers are. You've been sitting in these classes.
Strangers in the room with you.
Nope. Yep. We started this last year just to make it a little bit easier. So yes, this is kind of why we're doing the test prep with Dr. Kleitz before. Then you can take the ACT on March 12th. I also like summer test dates. If you're going to take it again, it's just another thing to do during the school year. We want you focusing on classes. So the summer, the students tend to be less stressed, and we find that the scores tend to be sometimes higher for the June and July. I will also say that those dates fill up quickly. So if you know you want to take it, register sooner rather than later. You probably have also heard that there were some changes to the ACT recently. So the ACT became shorter, and it also made science optional. So right now, it's the ACT is just English, math, and reading. Science is optional. Writing is optional. I have never recommended that a student take the optional writing exam. Have you?
No, it's literally a handful of schools that we've never really had a Villa student apply to. So you do not need to take the writing. We do recommend that you take the science, though, since every college tends to have a different policy right now. Just take it. Take the science.
Yeah. I mean, like Marquette University is going to require science. A lot of schools aren't going to require science. If your major might be like more STEM based or like pre-health, you're going to want the science. Some schools, like Mrs. Murray said, I was at Furman, and they're only going to use the science section if it increases your composite. They're going to make their own composite. Schools use it all in different ways. For right now, take the science section.
So we want you to take it, but no, it's not part of your composite.
Yeah.
Whether you're strong in science or not, go ahead and take it so you have it, but just know that it is not going to be factored into your composite anymore.
Yeah, so that's fun standardized testing. And you guys are going to be well prepared for it. It's not something that, we hope it's not something that stresses you out, beyond these publicized dates. There typically are more dates that pop up in September, October, November, and December. But if you think about it, the September one you can usually use in college admissions. That October one is cutting it close before you're hitting submit. The November and December could be helpful for like maybe additional scholarship money, things like that. So I would really take advantage of the summer standardized testing dates.
Okay, so when it comes to the admissions process, and we are trying to finish this within the next 10 minutes or so and allow time for questions, there are a number of factors, some you can control and some you can't. And so we want you to focus on what you can control. And first and foremost is your academic record. So starting tonight, you have another 2 days this week, then you have a week off, and then you have 2 weeks of class, and then you have finals. So if you have been on it and focused on your classroom performance this semester, fantastic. If you haven't been, now is the time to lock in, get caught up over Thanksgiving, and crush it for your exams. This first semester, do whatever you can to get as high of a GPA as you can, to do as well as you possibly can. You can control that academic record. Then after that, your activities, what you do, what you don't do, how you spend your time, you totally control that. Your essay, the essay it's the one piece of the whole application process that you can totally control because you can choose the topic and you can choose how you write. It doesn't have to be the 5-paragraph essay that you usually do in English class. It doesn't have to, it should still have an intro and body and conclusion, but it does not have to be like an essay that you're writing for English class. Your English teachers can help you with it. We will help you with it. But now is a really good time to be keeping your eyes open for potential topics, for something that you can talk about that isn't elsewhere in your application. Something that's important to you and why. They don't want to know your whole life story. They want to know one small piece of who you are as a person, something you did, something that you changed, something, a challenge that you overcame, something. We will help you with that, but that's one piece that you can totally control. The recommendations, you control who you ask. No one should have a bad letter of recommendation. And we will help you figure out the most advantageous teacher to ask. Students we ask them to waive their right to read the recommendation. There's actually a checkbox on the Common Application. Colleges give recommendations more credibility when they know that the recommendation writers have been writing, knowing the student will not be reading the letters. It's not like anybody's writing anything bad or negative, but the writers can write more freely when they know that the student is not reading them. So we ask you to check that box. If an interview is offered on a college campus, this is typically a place where Villa students shine. We will help you prepare for that, but that's an additional piece in the whole application process, where it's kind of treated like an additional recommendation letter. But if they offer online or virtual interviews, absolutely take them up on that offer. It can be a really fun part of the process too. And then if you're planning to pursue the fine and performing arts and you need a portfolio or you have to prepare for an audition, the faculty here always help those students prepare and put a great portfolio together. We will help you with that too, but just know that that's a piece that you can control. What you cannot control is what we call institutional priorities, and we never really know what those are. Colleges tend to be lacking in applications from the Dakotas and Wyoming and Utah. You're not from any of those states, you can't help that. Perhaps they have a donor who helped fund the faculty members for a new major in something. So they might be trying to fill the seats of a new major. We wouldn't really know what that is. Or they might have some different kinds of geographic priorities, whatever it is, we'll never know. But you can't control it, so it's not something to worry about. You don't know who else is applying, whether it's from Villa or from another school. You can't control the strength of other applicants in the pool. So don't worry about that. You worry about your own application. And then finally, the whole testing policies. Every school has its own. That's a separate part of the process. When you're visiting, you can ask about that. But you can't control if a school requires tests or not. You just have to play by their rules. Okay, and so this final, less glamorous part of the whole process, the paying for college. The free application for federal student aid, it is live. It is much easier than it used to be. If you are applying for need-based financial assistance, you have to do it. And there is a piece that the student has to do and a piece that the parents do. So you need to work together on it. It's really quick and easy if you have your tax returns together. But just know that there's a student piece and a parent piece. The CSS profile, there's about 270 or so schools that require it. It tends to be the private schools, but there are some big publics on there, like UNC Chapel Hill, for instance, requires it, and University of Michigan requires it. And the FAFSA does not take into consideration the number of students that you have in college in your family. The CSS profile does. That's kind of one of the big differences between the two. Tomorrow evening at Visitation Academy, Villa and Priory and Viz are sponsoring a financial aid night where an expert from St. Louis University is coming in, and we'll talk about all this in details. So if you would like to learn more about the specifics of it, feel free to be at Viz at 6:30 tomorrow night. And then the last thing, the net price calculator. Every college is required to have one on its website. So you can plug in some basic information and get a general idea of what it would cost for you to go there. They have varying degrees of accuracy. You've probably heard about that. So when you use the net price calculator to figure it out, just take it all with a grain of salt and know that it's a very general idea. Okay, and then the College Funding Coach. I think some of you attended the College Funding Coach webinar that we had in September on paying for college. This one that we are sponsoring in January, this is online, and it's little known secrets of paying for college. So we learned a lot of information from the previous one. We've heard iterations of this in the past, so you can log on from home and take a listen. But we hope that this will be a very valuable resource as you're trying to figure out how to plan for that part of the process. And they do ask for you to register. So you can register on that code. We will send it to you. We're going to send you this PowerPoint so you can register online, but just know that they do ask for registration. Okay, and this is you guys, College Bound. Ready or not, here you go. So we are right at 7:15. We have covered a lot of information, but we are always available for questions, email, phone, drop by. Juniors, you know where we are. We're right across from the GEC. You can come by at any time with questions. We don't want you to be wondering or to be worried. We are here to help you as much or as little as you need. But please know that we are very much looking forward to this process with each of you. In terms of next steps is we will send you that question, the parent and the student questionnaire, and then we will get a meeting on the calendar. But really right now and until Christmas basket mass, the focus is on your academics in the classroom here, doing as well as you possibly can.
You've got this.
You've got this. Was there a question over here? Yes. They are routinely, there are numbers of those, but we can certainly share information on other FAFSA workshops coming up. Yeah. It is, but yes, yes, yes. Yes, we will have that in, yep, we will do that in August. It's, the last few years we've had it on the Tuesday when everybody comes back for athletic tryouts. Yes, but we will do that again this summer.
And the really important component of that workshop is that you juniors, well, you'll be seniors at that point. You're going to have a rough draft ready. The more polished that essay is, the more specific feedback the college reps can give you.
Other questions? Anything you're wondering? Yes, Kennedy. So how does science factor into the ACT? So some schools are looking at it, some schools are not. It really depends on the schools you're applying to. But regardless, it is not factoring into your overall average score.
They will see a STEM score that is your math and the science combined. So they still will see what your science section is, your composite, and then that STEM score. Great question. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we don't have a formal list like that, but we have quite a few schools. So if you have a particular school in mind, we are happy to talk about that with you. But we don't have a list per se of the schools. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are. The scattergrams are
It's
on
in
there.
Cialfo. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So you'll be able to see all that information when we give you.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes.
And the students, I'm not sure. Students 100% have access to that information. Cialfo, I'm not sure. I would imagine parents have that access, but if you are in Cialfo and you don't see that, have your student log in to show you. Yeah, Cialfo is, if you see, there's a pamphlet about it in the folder. That is the college search database and then our application management that we use.
Sure. Well, we will be around for a little bit. If you have some additional questions, we're happy to answer them individually, but please know of our gratitude for coming tonight. Thank you so much.
Please feel free to take some food on your way out.